So today I am gonna show you how many moves I can last against the board of HIKARU Nakamura in chess, which is the second best player of the entire world. So let's get right into it. I am playing this with white pieces. First I just to move my pawn to e4. It moved its pawn to g6. So now I can develop my pawn to d4 controlling the center. It moved its bishop to g7, attacking my pawn on d4, which is already being protected by my queen. So now I should just calmly develop my knight to f3. It moved its pawn to d6. So now I should develop my knight to c3. It moved its knight to f6. I should move my bishop to e3. And now I should move my pawn to h4. Now my queen to d2. It moved its bishop to g4. I should move my knight to g5. It moved its knight to c6. I should move my pawn to f3, attacking its bishop. It retreated its bishop to d7. So now I should just calmly move my pawn to h5. It captured my pawn with its knight. So now I should move my pawn to g4, attacking its knight. It retreated its knight to f6. So now if I will move my pawn to e5, then it will capture my pawn. I will recapture it. It will capture my pawn with its knight and I will lose some material. So I should not do it. And now I should just calmly capture this pawn on h7 with my knight. It recaptured my knight with its knight. So my queen to h2. It moved its knight to f6. So now I should move my bishop to e2. It moved its pawn to e5. So pawn with mine. It recaptured my pawn with its knight. So now I should move for my bishop to h6. It moved its knight to h5. Captured its bishop with my bishop. It recaptured my bishop with its king. So now I should capture its knight with my pawn. It moved its rook to h8. So now I should move my pawn to h6 check. It moved its king to h7. So my pawn to f4. It moved its knight to g4. So I should move my queen to g3. It captured my pawn with its knight. So I should move my pawn to f5. It moved its king to f7. So now I should move my knight to d5. It captured my pawn with its knight. Now I should move my queen to c3 check. It moved its pawn to f6. So it's a rook with my rook. It recaptured my rook with its queen. So now I should queen's side. It moved its queen to d8. Knight with my pawn. It recaptured my pawn with its bishop. So I should move my rook to h1. And now its pawn with my knight. It recaptured my knight with its queen. So now I should move my rook to h7 check. It captured my rook with its king. So I should now capture its queen with my queen. It moved its king to h6. So now I should capture its pawn with my queen. It moved its rook to e8. So now I should move my king to d2. It moved its king to g5. So now I should move for my queen to c7. It moved its pawn to b5. So now I should capture its pawn with my queen. It moved its rook to e6, attacking my queen. But I should just retreat my queen to c5, pinning its bishop to the king. It moved its king to f6. So now I should move my queen to c3 check. It moved its king to g5. So now I should move my queen to c5. And now I should move my pawn to c4. It moved its king to g5. So now I should capture its pawn with my queen. It recaptured my pawn with its pawn. So now I should capture its pawn with my bishop. It moved its king to f6. So now I should move my rook to e7, attacking its rook. It moved its rook to e4. So retreat my bishop to b5. It moved its rook to g4. So now I should move my bishop to e2, attacking this rook. Now I should move my queen to d6 check. It moved its king to f7. So I should move my king to c3. It moved its rook to e4. So now I should move my pawn to a4, a5. And now I should move my pawn to a6. It moved its rook to c1 check. So I should move my king to d2. It moved its rook to a1. So my queen to a3. It captured my queen with its rook, so I should recapture it with my pawn. It moved its bishop to e6, controlling this diagonal. So now I should move my pawn to a7 and king to c3. And now I should move my king to b4. It moved its king to f6. So now I should move my king to c5. And now I should move my bishop to c6. It captured my bishop with its bishop, so I should recapture it with my king. It moved its king to e5, so now I should promote my pawn to a queen. It moved its king to e4, so I should move my pawn to a4. And now my queen to g8. Now my pawn to a5, a6. And now she captures pawn with my queen and check taking. It moved its king to d2. So now she moved my pawn to a7. And I should promote my pawn to a queen. So now let's do checkmate. I can move my queen to b3 check. My queen to d3. It moved its king to b2. So now I should move my queen to b7 check. And now I should move my queen to a6 to do checkmate. So let's review the game. That is analyzing the game.
You found a nice tactic that game. You're cooking. Let's review.
So let's see which moves we made. I made a brilliant move while it didn't make any. I made a 4 great moves while it didn't make any. I made 37 best moves while it only made 31. I didn't make any mistake, miss or blunder. Meanwhile, it made 2 mistakes and 1 miss, and it didn't make any blunder. So now for the opening, middle game and end game once. In the opening, I did excellent while it did good. In the middle game, I did brilliant while it did great. And in the end game, we both did best. So now for the low, it did 2100 and I did 2500. So now for the accuracy. For the accuracy, it did 87.9% and I did 95%. So